Hello and welcome to a new episode of Seeking Answers, and today we are in Thetford Forest investigating one of the greatest myths of all time. Or is it?
Bigfoot is one of the most legendary and iconic creatures in history, frequently debated whether it's fact or merely folklore. Often described as a large, muscular, bipedal ape or human-like creature, standing between 6 to 9 feet tall, though some have described it as being as high as 10 to 15 feet, covered in black, dark brown or reddish hair. But some witnesses have even claimed that it resembles humans more than apes, particularly in the face area. It reportedly has broad shoulders, no visible neck, but long arms, and some have even said that its eyes glow yellow or red. The majority of sightings took place in the United States, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't stretched overseas. Lesser known stories of a British Bigfoot take place in Thetford Forest, in the Suffolk-Norwich area, a large wooded area stretching 72.3 square miles. One sighting in particular was by British Bigfoot expert Deborah Hatswell.
It must have been mid-afternoon when I saw it. The sun was shining on us. It was a lovely day, really. I was chatting and laughing with my friend when we both caught a slight movement in the bushes and shadows. I was just a kid, a teenager. The next thing that happened was a huge, hairy, gorilla-type face was thrust at us from the bushes. It was a huge thing, like a man and an ape had been pushed together. It had amber dark eyes with dark brown hair, and yet it had a redness to it. Its jawline was thickly muscled and its teeth were like a human's. His nose was flattish like a boxer. It was the most terrified I've ever been in my life. I pushed my friend over and ran screaming for my life. I looked back and my friend was running too, but the creature just leant back into the greenery as if he'd melted away. I still can't really explain what I saw. I didn't ask for it. I didn't wish for it. I must have looked a right state running home, my face full of snot and tears like I'd seen a ghost. I often wish it had been a ghost. There are explanations for seeing a ghost. Everyone wants to hear a ghost story. No one wants to listen to a 15-year-old girl who insists she saw an ancient ape man while she was playing in the park. I've been obsessed with uncovering the truth of what I saw that day ever since.
It's been advised that anyone who does go looking for Bigfoot to have a listen out for knocking sounds, shrieking, and to avoid wearing strong smelling perfume or wearing bright colours. Bigfoot! Bigfoot! Where you at, bro? Bigfoot!
For centuries, many indigenous cultures across North America discussed stories of hair-covered beasts in the forest, long before Bigfoot even became a worldwide phenomenon. On the Tall River Indian Reservation, some petroglyphs were marked by a tribe of Yokuts at a site known as Painted Rock, supposedly depicting an entire group of Bigfoot called the Family. The Yokuts named them the Hairy Man, and it's estimated that these images are somewhere between 500 to 1,000 years old. The creature has different names in each language, but most translate to Wild Man or Hairy Man, while others named it after its actions, such as eating clams or shaking trees, as this is how some have claimed it communicates. Others have stated that it constructs teepee-like structures out of dead trees and foliage, even claiming to have found some. A team of researchers in Washington went hunting in what's known as the Olympic Project, and claimed to have found a collection of Bigfoot nests.
As we know, there have been sightings of teepees that have been built by the Bigfoot creatures. And, well, I mean, I don't know how anyone could argue with this evidence that's in front of us right now.
It's astounding, to be honest.
So I think we've cracked the case.
Yeah.
After centuries of speculation, we have a Bigfoot teepee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It's the
there
only
it is.
possible explanation.
Just look at it. Perfectly constructed. They must have been super strong.
The style's indigenous people told the tales of Sasquatch, translated to Sasquatch or Hairy Man, a shape-shifting creature that would actually protect the forest. The Lummi people told similar stories, but their details of the creature's diet and behaviour would change. Certain variations of the tales would involve them being nocturnal, and the children of the tribe were even warned not to say the name of the beast, or the monster would take them away to murder them. The Iroquois people told the story of an aggressive hair-covered giant with rock-hard skin, which they called Ginosqua, translated as stone giant. During the 16th century, some Spanish explorers and Mexican settlers began reporting stories of large creatures stalking their camps at night in what is now known as Mississippi. In 1721, a Jesuit priest was living amongst the Natchez people and reported stories of hairy creatures in the forest, screaming loudly and stealing livestock. On January the 7th, 1811, British explorer David Thompson actually found a set of Sasquatch footprints whilst mountaineering in Jasper, Alberta, Canada.
Continuing our journey in the afternoon, we came on the track of a large animal, the snow about 6 inches deep on the ice. I measured it. For large toes, each of 4 inches in length, to each a short claw, the ball of the foot sunk 3 inches lower than the toes. The hinder part of the foot did not mark well, the length 14 inches by 8 inches in breadth, walking from north to south and having passed about 6 hours. We were in no humor to follow him. The men and Indians would have it to be a young mammoth, and I held it to be the track of a large old grizzled bear, yet the shortness of the nails, the ball of the foot, and its great size was not that of a bear. Otherwise, that of a very large old bear, his claws worn away. This the Indians would not allow.
What is that?
Definitely noises.
Yeah.
Indisputable evidence of a Sasquatch.
Let's follow it.
Should we go towards the noise?
So, we hear noises. So we're going to go into the woods here. And we're going to lure out the beast. With some chicken. And if we come back and that's gone, it's evidence that Bigfoot has been here. Or a dog, but most likely Bigfoot.
A dog wouldn't be knocking like that.
I meant eating the chicken, you ruined the bit! In the mid-19th century, there were reports of a wild ape man roaming the wilderness of eastern Texas, stealing food and goods from residents, which was dubbed the Wild Man of the Navidad, though slaves in the area referred to it as the thing that comes, as no one would actually see it, but there was always evidence left behind. It began in 1836, when the people would find food missing from their cabins, even though this would suggest that an intruder stepped over sleeping dogs in order to reach it. Valuables were never stolen, but tools would disappear and then reappear later, strangely polished. Over the years, despite the lack of witnesses, the creature was described as having short brown hair and being very nimble, which allowed it to remain hidden. It was in 1845 when Reverend Samuel C. A. Rogers found 3 footprints and continued to find them for years afterwards, with only the larger ones remaining. Allegedly, in 1850, they did manage to set out a trap and captured a man in a tree surrounded by dogs, horses and men with guns. But this is where the story becomes conflicted. One version is that the man was a solitary African who was naked and spoke no English. The next year, a sailor came through the area and could speak his dialect, claiming that the man was a prince who was sold into slavery as a child. He then escaped with a friend once reaching Texas, but his companion died from exposure a few years later. Another story is that this man was eventually sold into slavery in Victoria, Texas after this incident, and would pass away in 1884, but nothing is certain.
If you do believe in Bigfoot, to be fair, Rob is open to Bigfoot.
I'm open to it, but it's not real.
It's at least possible.
It is!
Is it? What do you think about the knocking on the tree?
Wildlife. Woodpecker.
Quite a powerful woodpecker, but okay.
A woodpecker on Roy.
A woodpecker on Roy. I'll be honest, that knocking did bother me a little bit. Because it would have to be a very, very powerful bird.
I didn't even think it sounded like a knocking, I just don't know what it was.
Yeah, but like what, you say, like we're laughing about it, but what, there's nothing it could be.
There's a scout camp down there. Demons. Yeah, it could be demons. Yeah, I suppose. Could be.
You can see why people get into it, can't you? You can
Not
see.
really.
What's your explanation of the knocking?
What knocking?
It was a
You heard it.
Wildlife make weird noises.
Air rifles, shotguns.
It was in 1840 when Reverend Elkanah Walker, a Protestant missionary, reported stories of giants living among the natives near Spokane, Washington, supposedly living on and around the peaks of nearby mountains, even stealing salmon from the nets of fishermen. 7 years later, and Paul Kane reported stories of the same natives describing some cannibalistic wild men living on the peak of Mount St. Helens, known as Skukuns. In 1884, a newspaper story circulated around British Columbia in Canada about a gorilla that was supposedly captured. Over the years, the story of this creature has since been altered to become a Sasquatch sighting. However, on July the 9th that year, the Mainland Guardian newspaper came out to admit that no such animal was actually captured, and the colonist was tricked into writing it. On July the 11th, 200 people went to visit the supposed creature in a cage, but once arriving they were met with a man inside who exclaimed that the beast didn't actually exist.
Little does the group know, I've been researching the mating rituals of the silverback gorilla. My intention is to seduce Bigfoot today, take it home, settle down.
Oh, fuck it.
Another story from Thetford Forest back in the UK was from Stacia Briggs, who claimed,
We saw it just as we were leaving the forest after we were last here looking for Bigfoot. We'd spooked ourselves by wandering into deep thickets of trees and swearing we could smell the telltale odor that people claim Bigfoot has. We saw a clear sign that something the size of a fairly small deer had been dragged from close to the roadside into the trees.
It's very dense though, isn't it? You could tell how people would just see movement. It's just so dense. That's what is the source of probably all these sightings. Denseness. Maybe in the brain, but probably the woods.
Here we have a wild robert in his natural habitat. See him as he forages for food during the daylight hours, enough to keep him sustained through the cold, dark nights of October.
Ow. Legend has it, one of Bigfoot's favourite drinks, the fridge milkshake.
When did it expire?
See the teeth marks? I think we're getting close. Let's keep going.
in 1893, United States President Theodore Roosevelt was met by an elderly mountain man named Bauman, who claimed that he experienced a foul-smelling bipedal creature that ransacked his beaver trapping camp, stalked him, and then became incredibly hostile, fatally breaking his friend's neck. Roosevelt himself did admit that Bauman appeared to be completely fearful retelling this experience, but he himself wasn't entirely convinced. Ecologist Robert Pyle believed that most cultures just had such a big interest in a larger-than-life creature that they desperately needed to believe in one, creating a human-like giant in their local folklore. But Bigfoot didn't truly become a household name until July the 16th, 1924. The Oregonian posted a news article detailing a group of gold prospectors and a group of ape men in a gorge near Mount St. Helens, the former claiming to have encountered gorilla men near their remote cabin. One of them was Fred Beck, who claimed that he even struck one of the creatures with rifle fire, and later that night their cabin was under attack by large rocks being thrown by the animals, which damaged the roof and even knocked Beck unconscious, leading to the group fleeing the area come sunrise. The US Forest Service investigated the entire site, but they found absolutely no compelling evidence to back up the story, and officially concluded that it never took place. However, it was this story that led to several sightings of large, hair-covered bipedal ape men in the area, which is now known as Ape Canyon. But meanwhile, Back in Thetford Forest, an unnamed witness claimed,
"A 12-year-old boy came and told me he and his friend saw a large hairy man with a dog's head about 7 foot tall in the woods. He said it had white eyes and they heard it walking about too. I went to the wooded area on my own, but I was overcome with terror and didn't dare go in. I felt I was being watched or warned off. Seriously, I have been in situations in my life that are scary, but this was terrifying."
So guys, we've actually found this cave, and I think this genuinely might be where the monsters could live. So I think we're just going to have to try and climb in.
Yeah, one of us is going to have to go in there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Whereabouts do you think they are?
It's too dark to see at the minute, but one of us is going to have to go in.
In 1930, in Toledo, Washington, Grant Mullins and a bunch of other foresters actually discovered some huge footprints inside the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, spreading the legend further.
Okay, this actually caught me by surprise, guys. We've just come across this. That's kind of mad, you know. Well, I don't know what else it could possibly be. But shit, I guess we've found Bigfoot.
Defo.
In 1957, the New York Times presented the tale of Albert Ostman, a Canadian prospector who claimed to have actually been kidnapped and held captive by Bigfoot and its entire family for 6 whole days. 33 years earlier, back in 1924. He claimed that he was in the area for vacation and had heard the stories of the beast but didn't believe them at the time. One night he was asleep when a Sasquatch picked him up and carried him away in his sleeping bag for 3 hours before dropping him down on a plateau where he saw 4 of the creatures, 2 adults and 2 children, describing the grown ones as standing 8 foot tall. He claimed that he felt no need to reach for his gun as the animals didn't cause him any harm. The family supposedly fed him sweet tasting grass. He claimed that the female washed and stacked leaves, but one day Albert made his escape when the male felt groggy. He claimed to have not told this story for over 33 years as he was worried that people would call him crazy, and he only came out with it once he saw others citing their similar encounters.
And here we have 4 crazy white people entering the woods, about to be killed.
This looks really cool. We should film something here other than...
film something here.
I believe Sam is constructing a Bigfoot trap of his own.
Hey, you know, if you guys want to go fist to fist with Bigfoot, that's your funeral. I'm being prepared. Let's go.
Things only escalated in 1958 when bulldozer operator Jerry Crew in Humboldt County, California discovered a set of large, 16-inch human-like footprints sunk deep in the mud in the Six Rivers National Forest, though some reports claim they were as big as 24 inches long and 8 inches wide, some even stating that they contained claw marks. He quickly alerted his co-workers, who had also found similar tracks on previous jobs but hadn't reported them. They also began to find an oil drum that weighed 450 pounds or 200 kilograms being moved without explanation. After the group discovered even more footprints, they alerted Andrew Genzoli of the Humboldt Times, and this is when the name Bigfoot first began being used, and it has captivated the world ever since.
I mean... average foot?
Yeah.
We've actually found footprints.
Or a teabag side. You decide.
It's more like average foot though.
Oh, okay.
Well,
That sounded like you were partially considering it.
so you don't think it?
Oh my god.
A plaster cast of the footprints was then made and published on October the 6th that year, and due to this story, Willow Creek and Humboldt County are now considered to be the Bigfoot capital of the world. But the most famous video evidence of Bigfoot came on October the 20th, 1967. In Bluff Creek, Northern California, Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin filmed the creature for around 59 seconds. a video that has been often regarded the most convincing evidence of Bigfoot's existence. Skeptics believe that it's a person in a costume, while others are convinced it's a genuine unknown species, especially considering the quality of the video at the time, and the fact that the cameraman remains calm throughout, but then, upon seeing the creature, the camera becomes shaky out of panic.
Did you hear that sound? Jimmy. Yeah, it was something pointed out. Did you hear it? Some weird noises, man.
You're not having not want to wind up?
No, I'm not winding up.
What was the noise?
If I'm honest, it sounded like a monkey.
No. The sound though?
Yeah, he was the one who pointed it out. He goes, listen, and
Oh my god.
I thought it sounded like a monkey. We'll see what
Can
Sam
you play
thought.
it back?
So, yeah, it was actually, all jokes aside, Sam just pointed out there was a noise. I caught some of it. Unfortunately, it was around the time I was saving the battery. But it sounded, if I'm honest, from what I heard, it sounded like a monkey. Which, as you can imagine, wouldn't be in the UK, in the middle of a forest. So, that's odd. That's interesting. So that noise, what did you think it sounded like?
I didn't hear. I can't believe it.
I don't think it sounded like something being violently killed and eaten.
You serious?
No. Well, what do you think it was?
Oh, I missed it. I was.
That's how it gets you.
No, genuinely, what did you think it was?
Something being eaten. Like a fox eating a pheasant or something.
Huh.
But you thought it sounded like a monkey.
Yeah.
Okay, let's follow the pheasant death and maybe we'll find it.
Back in Thetford Forest, British photographer Harry Rose was always obsessed with Bigfoot and believes that he may have encountered it.
I loved science fiction and Stephen King and the X-Files, anything mysterious and weird. And I loved Bigfoot. I was always sad that Bigfoot was in America and I was in Britain. And so when I found out that there were people who believed he existed here, I was ecstatic. After day 4, I was talking to myself. I spooked myself something unreal. I was seeing stuff that wasn't there. That said, I had a tree thrown at me. A full-on tree. Not some sapling, a big tree. It came thundering over a tree in front of me and rolled past me. That shit was weird. I heard some strange noises while I was taking a photograph of a broken sapling. That's said to be Bigfoot's warning sign. Moments later, gargle followed by a tree came hurtling my way. The photographer in me should have been calm, looked at what happened and took a photo. Instead, I ran so fast. I guess in my head I'd been so willing to experience something, but when I did, I ran faster than the wind. I also came across a field of dead sheep. The farmer couldn't work it out. Not just dead, but decapitated. No wolves in the area. Foxes, sure, but they couldn't have done that much damage. An entire flock wiped out.
We found an explanation.
What is it?
Of course, one thing that could lead to the myth of Bigfoot is the hallucinogenic mushrooms that are typically found in this section of the woods.
There we go. Debunked. We can go home.
You eat some of these, you'd see Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster at the same time.
In 1968, a frozen corpse of a hair-covered hominid standing at 5'11" was paraded around the United States as a travelling exhibition, which led to speculation regarding its origin. Some believed that it was killed by hunters in Minnesota or by American soldiers near Da Nang during the Vietnam War, while others were convinced that it was evidence of Bigfoot. This was widely known as the Minnesota Iceman. Primatologist John R. Napier concluded that it was actually made out of latex and was a complete fake, though others dispute this, as he didn't actually study the body directly. The stories only began to circulate wider in 1971 when there were multiple sightings in the Dalles, Oregon, describing an overgrown ape. One individual claimed to have even seen the creature in the scope of his rifle, but he couldn't bring himself to pull the trigger as it looked more like a human than an animal. Michael Rugg, who owns the Bigfoot Discovery Museum, claimed to have actually smelled the beast, claiming,
"Imagine a skunk that had rolled around in dead animals and had hung around the garbage pits."
Wouldn't it be ironic if Bigfoot wasn't actually here and the Blair Witch got us instead?
Don't say that.
So instead of proving Bigfoot, we prove ghosts.
Bigfoot!
Where you at? I'm ready to mate with you.
On May the 2nd, 1971, a family in Fouke, Arkansas reported a large hair-covered creature actually reaching through their window, startling Elizabeth Ford, who was asleep on the couch. Her husband and his brother Don intervened to scare the creature away. They claimed that they actually shot at the beast and believed that they had hit it, but no traces of blood were found. An extensive search of the area was carried out, but the animal had vanished, though some 3-toed footprints were found near the house, as well as scratch marks on the porch with some minor damage done to the window. The family were new to the home and had only been there less than a week, but they admitted that they had heard some rustling and moving around from outside a few nights prior, but had ignored it. The creature would never appear to the family again, but the encounter caused mass hysteria in the area, even inspiring the feature film The Legend of Boggy Creek a year later. The monster would however return to Fouke on May the 23rd, a few weeks after, when D.C. Woods Jr., Wilma Woods and R.H. Sedgas all reported seeing an ape-like creature crossing US Highway 71. The sightings became so frequent that the Little Rock radio station KAAY actually put up a $1,090 bounty on the beast.
Oh! Ah! Somewhere there's other Bigfoot hunters hearing you and they're like, what's that?
But this poses the question, if Bigfoot isn't a new unknown species, what actually is it? Some have theorized that it's simply a bear standing upright. The footprints found contained claw marks which would match a bear and not an ape. Most of the sightings have been from a great distance, so it could have been misinterpreted in poor lighting conditions or in dense foliage. Bears do often walk upright, even when injured, and while black bears stand between 5 to 7 feet tall, grizzlies can be between 8 to 9 feet, which match the descriptions of Bigfoot, and the majority of the sightings are in areas often populated with the species.
If Bigfoot is there, it may be many bears. Although some Bigfoot sightings have been reported in areas with minimal or no known black bear populations, although this may be interpreted as evidence of the existence of an unknown hominid in North America, it is also explained by the misidentification of other animals, among other possibilities.
The descriptions of glowing eyes doesn't match apes or humans, but it would match the likes of owls, raccoons, or opossums. Others have theorized great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, or orangutans that may have escaped from a zoo or a circus, or even exotic pets that may have belonged to private owners. Another possibility is a skunk ape, as it does match the humid subtropical climate of the southeastern United States. Host of the Bigfoot Society podcast, Jeremiah Byron, believes that the Bigfoot species are omnivores, as there are different reports of the beast eating both plants and meat. There are claims that they move or take possessions left behind by humans, and most sightings have taken place at night. Some have placed Bigfoot in solitary, while others in groups. In 1974, the National Wildlife Federation did a field study trying desperately to find any evidence of Bigfoot, and they found nothing. That same year, the North American Wildlife Research Team actually set up a Bigfoot trap in Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest. Over the years, many bears were captured inside, but no Bigfoot. The trap did stop being used in the early 1980s, but was repaired decades later and still remains on the Collins Mountain hiking trail to this day. In 1979, several locals reported seeing a bear on the outskirts of Thetford Forest in England, but this report went largely ignored and the area wasn't searched.
It's a good point we're not looking up at the trees. He could be up there ready to take a shit on us.
What if he's got one of those predator camouflage things?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to see him.
Oh.
Might be a reason why people have not got much footage of him.
So you think he's a chameleon?
No, I'm thinking maybe. Well, if you haven't seen Predator,
you see something hanging up a tree, would you know it was a predator? Do you think it was an ape man?
Bollocks.
A predator without lasers is just a Bigfoot. Food for thought.
So we are walking aimlessly around woods looking for nothing. Content! Vocalizations of howls, screams, moans, grunts, whistles, and even a new, unknown supposed language have all been recorded over the years, and were even analysed by US Navy cryptologic linguist Scott Nelson in the 1970s, whilst in the Sierra Nevada mountains.
It is definitely a language. It is definitely not human in origin, and it could not have been faked.
Lee Stroud corroborated this by claiming to have heard vocalization in the wilderness whilst filming Survivor Man, and he believed that it sounded like a primate. Others have reported feeling disoriented, dizzy, or anxious upon hearing these sounds, leading to paranormal author Nick Redfern believing that Bigfoot may produce infrasound. Most of these noises have either been debunked as hoaxes or anthropomorphization, which are unknown sounds from other already existing animals. During the 1980s, several psychologically damaged American Vietnam veterans were reported living in remote wooded areas by the state. Another theory is possibly pareidolia, the perception of imposing meaningful interpretation of an object, when in actuality there is none, which would explain the videos and photos of extremely poor quality.
Oh, and it turns out that knocking was fireworks.
What knocking?
Oh, we
That's
thought it
not
was
been
knocking.
confirmed yet. We're still investigating.
I heard a noise, but I don't know if it was knocking.
Oh, it was fireworks.
Was it though? Is that just what the government wants you to think?
There's nothing here. It's such a peaceful forest.
By 1982, 52 years after the footprints were first found in Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, the man who discovered them, Grant Mullins, finally confessed to faking the entire thing. Him and his colleagues collectively carved large feet out of wood and used them to create footprints in order to scare huckleberry pickers away.
Now we know why all the evidence gets faked, they just get bored.
How's that?
In June 1986, a witness was driving along the A1075 near England's Thetford Forest when they encountered a long-haired creature with a light grey shaggy coat walking on 4 legs. They couldn't believe their eyes, so they even turned around to drive past it again for a better look, witnessing the beast rise on its hind legs, standing around 8 feet tall. The witness returned a few days later and actually found tracks still in the area, suggesting that something had been dragged. However, in the early 1990s, some truly horrifying 911 calls were made public. A homeowner in Kitsap County, Washington called for help when a large subject, described as being in all black, entered their backyard. They had also claimed that their dog was killed and thrown over the fence. But this claim has mostly been discarded, as the majority of Bigfoot reports have cited the creature as hiding or fleeing from people, and not being aggressive or violent.
Well, Bigfoot isn't necessarily not friendly.
He's not necessarily non-fiction either.
In 1994, former US Forest Service Ranger Paul Freeman actually taped the alleged Bigfoot in the Blue Mountains in Oregon, but this footage has often been scrutinized and debated. On May the 26th, 1996, Laurie Pate was on a camping trip near the Washington state and Canadian border when she recorded a dark subject running across a field, which she believes to have been Bigfoot. This is another tape that has widely been debated over its legitimacy, while most believe it's just a human wearing a gorilla costume.
So we found broken branches, and over there is in fact a snapped tree.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can argue with that.
No.
So there's a lot of fireworks going on, and then followed by a banging noise, which seems to be coming over there.
The banging just could be Bigfoot's mating season.
That's true.
The legend continues to live on even into the 21st century. In 2000, a body print was made from the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest in Washington state, now dubbed the Skookum Cast, believed to have been Bigfoot sitting in mud to eat some fruit left behind by researchers, while others believe it's an already known animal such as an elk. In June 2001, a youth group led by Jim Mills were camping in the Marble Mountain Wilderness in California when they noticed a strange looking creature walking along a nearby ridge and decided to start recording it. This remains the longest piece of footage of a Bigfoot sighting ever recorded.
What have we discovered?
We're in the middle of nowhere. Somebody's made a fire out here. Maybe the ape man's a bit more intelligent than we give him credit for.
Yeah, I mean, this couldn't have been made by humans.
No chance. No, couldn't.
The plot only thickened in 2002 when the family of Ray Wallace, the now deceased co-worker of Jerry Crew who had discovered the footprints back in 1958, found some large wooden feet stored in his basement. This led the family to believe that he had secretly made the footprints to scare away potential thieves, and it was all just another fake. Furthermore, Wallace was friends with Rant Mullins, so it's believed that he was inspired by his previous hoax and that the duo had worked together to trick the world. Two of the longest running pieces of evidence of Bigfoot were complete frauds.
Bigfoot! Imagine we just hear a voice.
What's up, Rob? How's it hanging, really?
Every horror movie, there's always someone who says, you should come and have a look at this.
Well, they don't show in the movies the 10-minute walk back just to find the lame thing they found.
Yeah, here we go. This is in real time. If we have to walk all the way over it, you guys are coming with us. Yeah. To find this ridiculous piece.
20 quid says it's bullshit.
Of lack of evidence. Well, I'll cut it out, otherwise.
I'm walking all the way back here with an open mind. I've crossed 2 international time zones. What you got?
Mud.
Yep, we have a rabbit hole. Whoa!
What is that?
It's mud.
Yeah, it's definitely mud. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's mud.
Yeah, no, what caused it?
Animal.
Happy?
It could have been a dog digging.
Yeah, I didn't realise it wasn't deep. I thought that looked like a footstep.
Oh my god!
On July the 14th, 2005, Bigfoot enthusiast and CEO of Searching for Bigfoot Incorporated, Tom Biscardi, claimed that he was 98% sure that they would capture a Bigfoot in the Happy Camp, California area where they had been hunting. Just a month later, he claimed to have actually done it, and was even arranging a pay-per-view event for people to come and see the monster. However, just days later, he admitted that no such Bigfoot had actually been captured, and he blamed an unnamed woman for misleading him, but also blamed the audience who believed him for being so gullible.
I have found a new species of Bigfoot. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I don't know what this is.
No.
But we must be getting closer.
I have to send that off.
Yeah, we've got to get a DNA analysis on this creature. But it's definitely some kind of Bigfoot hybrid.
That same year, Matt Crowley took it upon himself to try to debunk these claims, successfully managing to perfectly replicate the footprint cast known as the Onion Mountain cast, now casting doubt on any of the aforementioned pieces of evidence.
Looking back, I now realize how much of a low place I was at in my life. At the time, I was looking for a sign of it being real, something to confirm so many sightings and stories. These people can't all be lying, right? Now I know that looking for Bigfoot was a vessel for keeping myself busy. I mean, if Bigfoot exists, It's in America, not the UK. The landmass of the UK just isn't big enough for an 8'8" to migrate and live without regular contact with humans. I think what I was doing out there was trying to distract myself from what was going on in my life at the time. That's what I think lots of people do when they get obsessed with this stuff. Bigfoot is escapism. It doesn't matter if he's real. His respite from reality. I mean, who doesn't want a break from reality?
In addition, 2 years later, the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization claimed to actually have photos of a juvenile Bigfoot from a camping trip in the Allegheny National Forest in Marionville, Pennsylvania. However, the Pennsylvania Game Commission investigated this and concluded that it was merely a bear with a mange, though they were unable to locate it. Scientist Vanessa Woods carefully studied the photograph and believed that its arms were somewhere around 22 inches long with an 18.75 inch long torso, concluding that it was most likely a chimpanzee.
Because obviously all of our eyes have been on the ground, but if you look high up there, I think you'll find what one can only describe as so obviously a Bigfoot nest. No other animal could possibly be sleeping in that. We have found its home.
That same year, hunter Rick Jacobs captured some of the clearest images to date of the supposed creature, with cameras mounted to trees in Pennsylvania's Allegheny National Forest. In December 2007, a witness claimed to have seen a Bigfoot-like creature in the UK's Thetford Forest, describing it as having grey hair with dark black patches.
This is clearly a weapon of some kind forged by Bigfoot himself. All these trees have been destroyed by him or her. Look, we found him.
On July the 9th, 2008, Rick Dyer and Matthew Whitten posted a video on YouTube claiming to have actually found the dead body of a Bigfoot in a forest in northern Georgia. The duo actually received $50,000 from Searching for Bigfoot Inc., and they even made it onto the news. The Searching for Bigfoot team were given the body in a big block of ice, but once it thawed out, it was revealed that the hair wasn't real, the head was hollow, and the feet were made out of rubber. The duo were then forced to admit that it was another hoax. In 2009, a witness in England's Thetford Forest came face to face with something they described as being not of this world, standing around 7 feet tall.
I seem to have come across the obvious remains. This is a dragging site where Bigfoot has dragged his victims over to the woods for his family to eat their corpses. There's no other explanation, Jimmy.
There's Bigfoot's biggest foe. Look at him mocking him on his territory. This might come back to haunt him.
In May 2011, a lorry driver was driving past the same forest when he claimed to have seen a hairy, light grey creature on all fours moving at a rapid speed through the grass. It then supposedly stood on its hind legs and approached him, moving like an ape before dropping back to all fours and running away into the wilderness. It only continued in 2012 when a man in Montana put on a Bigfoot costume to try to create another ruse, but was unfortunately accidentally hit fatally by a car. In October that year, a group of siblings were hiking in Provo Canyon in Utah when they spotted what they believed was a bear in the woods and started recording it. However, they were soon startled when the creature stood up on 2 legs, leading to them quickly fleeing the scene. That same year, and in that same canyon, another hiker was walking through when he encountered a creature that stood up on 2 legs and even began throwing rocks at him, leading to him fleeing. However, after decades of speculation, on November the 24th, 2012, veterinarian Melba Ketchum issued the following statement.
We have found proof that the Sasquatch is a human relative that arose from approximately 15,000 years ago as a hybrid cross of modern Homo sapiens with an unknown primate species. The government at all levels must recognize them as an indigenous people and immediately protect their human and constitutional rights against those who would see in their physical and cultural differences as a license to hunt, trap, or kill them.
Ketchum claimed that her research and the categorical evidence and results had been published in the De Novo Journal of Science on February the 13th, 2013. However, upon examination, it turns out that this website was registered just 9 days before the paper was announced, and its only issue was the Sasquatch story. The article itself was analysed by science writer Sharon Hill, who called it questionable with mismanaged DNA testing and poor quality.
The few experienced geneticists who viewed the paper reported a dismal opinion of it, noting it made little sense.
Geneticists who have seen the paper are not impressed. To state the obvious, no data or analyses are presented that in any way support the claim that their samples come from a new primate or a human-primate hybrid, Leonard Krugliak of Princeton University told the Houston Chronicle. Instead, analyses either come back as 100% human or fail in ways that suggest technical artifacts. The website for the De Novo Journal of Science was set up on February 4th, and there is no indication that Ketchum's work, the only study it has published, was peer-reviewed.
In 2013, a 21-year-old man in Oklahoma was arrested after accidentally shooting his friend in the back during a Bigfoot hunt, believing that he was the creature. That same year, Josh Highcliffe captured footage of a supposed Bigfoot while hunting on his property, and it scared him so much that he refused to return to the woods, instead posting the video to YouTube to try to get help identifying the creature.
Jokes aside, this time we actually have found a cave, so we're going to have to climb in because this is where the Bigfoot family seem to have lived.
Right, we'll give that a miss, but you can climb in.
Oh, it's all true! Oh, wait, no, sorry, it's a leaf.
When 2014 rolled around, previous prankster Rick Dyer resurfaced, now claiming that he had actually killed a real Bigfoot 2 years earlier, just outside of San Antonio, Texas.
I had scientific tests conducted on the body, from DNA tests to 3D optical scans to body scans. It is the real deal. It's Bigfoot, and Bigfoot's here and I shot it, and now I'm proving it to the world.
Dyer claimed to have contained the body in a hidden location, but promised to tour it across North America. He released photos of the body, but none of the tests or scans. He refused to release the test results or any of the biological samples, but claimed that the DNA tests were done in an undisclosed lab and that they couldn't be matched to any known animal. Regardless, he promised to reveal the body and the results on February the 9th, 2014 at a news conference at Washington University. This date came and went, but the results were never made public. He did tour the body as promised, but afterwards it was taken to Houston, Texas. On March the 28th that same year, Dyer did admit that it was another hoax. He confessed to paying Chris Russell from Twisted Toy Box to manufacture the body from latex, foam and camel hair, and that he had earned $60,000 from the tour, though he maintained that he genuinely did kill a real Bigfoot back in 2012, but that he didn't take the real body on tour as he feared that it would be stolen.
We should probably note at this point we were trying just to typically heading north so we could find our way back. We don't know where we are.
We're filming Blair Witch 7. There's a big old field over there, but we actually have no idea where we are. This might be some found footage shit. we never seen again, and this just gets posted by the police in a few years.
Along with your Hawaiian shirt.
Oh yeah, still got that on. It's too cold. We're filming this in October. I don't know where it's going up, but it's freezing.
In 2015, Professor Michael Townsend claimed to have actually discovered prey bones with human-like bite impressions on the south side of Mount St. Helens, claiming that they were over 2 times wider than a human bite, and that he and some students also found some 16-inch long footprints in the area as well. In June 2017, a witness near England's Thetford Forest claimed to have seen something tall and inexplicable walking alongside the A1075, crossing the lane. That same year it continued when a shamanist was wearing animal fur during a holiday in a forest in North Carolina. It actually resulted in the Greenville Police Department issuing a public notice for people to not shoot Bigfoot in case it was a human being, which happened a year later when a hunter shot a person near Helena, Montana, believing that he was the legendary creature.
So we've concluded that we've either parked that way, or this way. This way is ruled out. Where's the car?
No idea.
A popular theory is that Bigfoot is actually the supposedly extinct Southeast Asian ape species Gigantopithecus blacki. It went extinct around 100,000 years ago, which perfectly coincides with when we had our last ice age. Other species of animals use the ice to migrate across continents, so it's been theorized that during this time the Gigantopithecus made its way from Asia over to the Americas. Despite this, no fossils of it were ever found there, but even in Asia the only ones discovered were mandibles and teeth, leaving further uncertainty. Examining the mandibles found, it's been theorized that they could have been bipedal, but the relevant part of the fossils required to conclude this definitively were never found. Though others dispute this, as it was quadrupedal, and its enormous mass would have made it extremely difficult to adopt a bipedal gait.
The trouble with this account is that Gigantopithecus was not a hominin and maybe not even a crown group hominoid, yet the physical evidence implies that Bigfoot is an upright biped with buttocks and a long stoor permanently adducted hallux. These are hominin autapomorphies not found in other mammals or other bipeds. It seems unlikely that Gigantopithecus would have evolved these uniquely hominin traits in parallel.
That Gigantopithecus is in fact extinct has been questioned by those who believe it survives as the Yeti of the Himalayas and the Sasquatch of the Northwest American coast, but the evidence for these creatures is not convincing.
Primatologist John R. Napier and anthropologist Gordon Strausenberg theorized that it could have been a species of Paranthropus, maybe a Paranthropus robustus with its crested skull and bipedal gait, though their fossils have only been found in Africa. Another theory is the Meganthropus, a descendant to the Gigantopithecus blacki, and Neanderthal, Homo erectus or Homo heidelbergensis, but there's no evidence of any of these ever being found in the Americas. Most believe these sightings have either been a series of hoaxes or caused by mass delusion.
There is no such thing as Bigfoot. No data other than material that's clearly been fabricated has ever been presented.
A large primate living in this reported climate would have been extremely unlikely due to its needed habitat. Most would need to survive in Africa or Asia, and there have been no fossils of great apes ever found in the Americas whatsoever. However, anthropologist Jeffrey Meldrum, who specializes in the study of primate bipedalism, has over 300 of the footprint casts and maintains that they couldn't be made by wood carving or human feet.
It defies all logic that there is a population of these things sufficient to keep them going. What it takes to maintain any species, especially a long-lived species, is you gotta have a breeding population. That requires a substantial number, spread out over a fairly wide area where they can find sufficient food and shelter to keep hidden from all the investigators.
Well, now you will be amazed when I tell you that I'm sure that they exist. Well, I'm a romantic, so I always wanted them to exist. You know, why isn't there a body? I can't answer that, and maybe they don't exist, but I want them to. I'm fascinated and would actually love them to exist. Of course, it's strange that there has never been a single authentic hide or hair of the Bigfoot, but I've read all the accounts.
If Bigfoot existed, so would consistent reports of uniform vocalization throughout North America as can be identified for any existing large animal in the religion, rather than the scattered and widely varied Bigfoot sounds haphazardly reported. If Bigfoot existed, so would many tracks that would be easy for experts to find, just as they easily find tracks for other rare megafauna in North America, rather than a complete lack of such tracks alongside tracks that experts agree are fraudulent. Finally, if Bigfoot existed, an abundance of Bigfoot DNA would already have been found, again as it has been found for similar animals, instead of the current state of affairs where there is no confirmed DNA for such a creature whatsoever.
We've been here for 6 days. No food, no water, no signs of a way out. Send help. We may have found some kind of civilization, or is it just more grass? Nope, false alarm. So it appears that this video that started trying to find Bigfoot is now us trying to find a way out. This is now a found footage film of us trying to survive in the wilderness.
In 2018, Claudia Ackley gained worldwide attention when she actually filed a lawsuit against the California Department of Fish and Wildlife for refusing to acknowledge the existence of Bigfoot. She claimed to have encountered and even recorded the creature in the San Bernardino Mountains the previous year, describing it as a Neanderthal man with a lot of hair. She had contacted the emergency services at the time, but most believed that she had just come across a bear. Claudia would sadly pass away 5 years later, but she always maintained to her grave that she had not only encountered Bigfoot, but that she had suffered severe psychological trauma from it, and had even started an online support group for others dealing with the same issues.
So we believe we are finding a way out. Civilization may be nearby. The Bigfoot spirit nearly had us in his clutches. Well, our guide has vanished. So, okay, he's that way. This is just our lives now. Started as a fun YouTube channel. And now we're in the middle of the woods, getting lost, trying to find a giant ape man. Subscribe now!
In June 2018, a woman in Florida reported spotting a creature that she believed may have been the legendary animal, describing it as looking like a pile of soggy grass. Between September and October that year, 2 witnesses in England's Thetford Forest actually had a range of objects hurled at their car. They frantically shone their torch at where it was coming from and saw eye shine on a creature that appeared to be about 7 feet tall.
If a conclusion is to be reached based on scant extant hard evidence, science must declare Bigfoot does not exist. However, I find it difficult to entirely reject thousands of alleged tracks, scattered over 125,000 square miles, or to dismiss all the many hundreds of eyewitness accounts. I am convinced that Sasquatch exists, but whether it is all it is cracked up to be is another matter altogether. There must be something in Northwest America that needs explaining, and that something leaves man-like footprints.
Bigfoot, real or not?
Well, not only did we not find Bigfoot, I didn't see another single animal in this entire forest. So,
how do you explain the sightings? What are your thoughts?
Well, if anyone has any genuine evidence, drop a link, have a look at it, show you why it's bullshit.
I think the American sightings are most likely a bear, or it could just be wild men living in the wilderness.
These are the same people that think the earth is flat.
Could be like Robin Williams in Jumanji, with bushy hair and beard.
It wasn't until 2019 when the FBI revealed that they had actually been provided over 30 hair samples back in the 1970s by Bigfoot researcher Peter Burns, supposedly extracted from Bigfoot itself from the United States, Russia, the Himalayas and Sumatra, most of which turned out to be from black or brown bears, but others were from cows, horses, dogs, wolves, coyotes, sheep, goat, deer, raccoons, porcupines and tapirs. But there were 2 less common ones. One was a rare type of brown bear. The other a supposedly fossilized genetic sample of a 40,000-year-old polar bear. Other theories have included extraterrestrials or the world of the supernatural, or even a government cover-up. Over the decades there have been sightings in every US state, except for Hawaii.
So ladies and gentlemen, of course there are theories that Bigfoot is from the world of the supernatural. So we're going to have to do a spirit box session. So the spirit box rapidly scans radio frequencies and emanates a white noise, which some people believe lets spirits talk to us.
Well, we all know it's going to pick up on Bigfoot's HDTV.
Bigfoot, are you there? Yeah. We've done it. Yes! Alright, enough of this bollocks.
In In July 2019, a group of people were in Thetford Forest in England when they heard low, throaty growls. There were also reports of dogs being spooked by something supposedly hiding in the near distance, while another witness claimed to have been shadowed by something that they couldn't see. In 2021, a documentary aired on Hulu reporting marijuana farmers claiming that Bigfoot harassed and murdered people in the Emerald Triangle region in the 70s all the way to the 90s and killed at least 3 migrant workers in 93, though most believe these were just illegal drug operators making up the story to scare away competitors. In April 2022, a man in Mobile, Alabama posted photos of a supposed Bigfoot on Facebook and claimed that the sheriff's office confirmed it was genuine, leading to the Finding Bigfoot team being dispatched. While photos circulated social media and the news, it was revealed to have been nothing more than an April Fool's prank. On July the 7th, 2022, wildlife educator and media personality Coyote Peterson also posted on Facebook and claimed to have found a large primate skull in British Columbia, claiming that he excavated and smuggled it into the United States for review. He claimed that he initially hid it in case the government decided to intervene. This story actually went viral until some scientists looked into it and dismissed it as being nothing more than a replica skull of a gorilla.
I'm told that Coyote Peterson does this sort of thing fairly often as clickbait and that this is a stunt done to promote an upcoming video. Maybe this is meant to be taken as harmless fun, but in an age where anti-scientific feelings and conspiracy culture are a serious problem, it again really isn't a good look. I think this stunt has backfired.
So what actually is Bigfoot? Could it actually be the Gigantopithecus who survived extinction? Could all of these sightings be a bear or a gorilla? Or even mass delusion? Or is it possible that Bigfoot genuinely is some kind of unknown species? The sightings and story of this creature have spanned centuries, and it continues to fascinate the world, meaning that it seems unlikely that we will stop seeking answers.
Hello guys, this is Rob from Seeking Answers. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. If you do want to see more, please consider donating to Patreon or clicking that join button below to become a channel member. Unfortunately, YouTube's monetization doesn't really cater to the content that we make, so we do need all the help that we can get. I also realised that not everyone is able to give a monthly payment, so there is now a PayPal link in the description if anyone does want to donate a one-off payment. Doesn't matter the amount, any amount is appreciated. And if you do a one-off payment, you'll be able to request a case for us to cover, and it will really go towards helping the channel out and continuing to grow the community. Any amount is appreciated and it will go towards keeping this channel alive and making more content, going on location more. You will get perks in exchange and you will help really give this channel the boost it needs. Thank you for all of your support and tune in next week for another video.